One thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out. If it sells, all right. We were better off with those guys than we are now with the supposedly hip young executives who are making the decisions of what people should see and hear in the marketplace.
Success in the music business begins with a dream, a vision. This podcast will give you, the listener, the insight and tools to turn that vision into a reality. Meet the industry professionals who work day by day behind the scenes, helping to make those dreams come true. Welcome to the business side of music.
This is Bob Ender. You're listening to this edition of the Business Side of Music. Today we have in the studio in Los Angeles, California, Briana Renea. She was born in Oregon, raised in the rural town of Canby, which is in the heart of the Pacific Northwest. Grew up on a farm showing cattle, horses, and goats at local and state fairs, the 4-H and the FFA. That's a tongue twister. We'll talk about that in a little bit. She grew up on 80s rock and 90s country music, which greatly shaped and influenced her musical style. Her music, at least from the songs I've spent listening to, are very high energy, and they blur the lines between rock and country. Her music also seems to be very personal, which is something else we're going to chat about. She's recorded 2 albums, Red Lips, White Lies, and Chasing Trouble. One of her songs off the first album, Dirt Side, was chosen for the top 12 Best NSAI Spring Training Award, and her song Widowmaker was selected for use in the Northwest Pro Rodeo Association finals commercial. We're going to touch base on that one too. Her new album, Chasing Trouble, placed in the top 40 for the Nashville Songwriters Association International second quarter of 2016. Her stage presence was fostered and drawn out by studying at Barbizon's Modeling and Acting School. She's opened for such acts as Joe Nichols, Old Dominion, one of my favorites, Kanan Smith, and Sammy Kershaw. When she's not playing music, she's embracing her dirt side, showing horses in the Western States Stock Horse Association, along with swing dancing. She's going to have to tell us about that one. First album released in 2015, titled Red Lips, White Lies, was very rock and country and what is a little outside of the box. Here we go. Briana, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
Doing good. It's another beautiful day in Southern California.
Isn't it always sunny?
It is. We never have bad days here. Let me ask you something. You're an original songwriter. You have collaborated with some great Nashville songwriters, and anybody out there that works within the music writing scene, especially in Nashville, you'll know the names Court Carpenter, Jason Wyatt, Dee Briggs, Mason Douglas, who I've had an opportunity to meet, Steve Mitchell, and Tony George. And your songs are about real-life experiences. So what is it like to work with those songwriters?
It's a wonderful experience to work with these guys. They are such amazing writers and amazing human beings. NSAI has these conventions every year called Spring Training, and they bring in these top hit songwriters, and they always talk about finding a tribe and finding a clan that you build and you grow around yourself. And I've been extremely fortunate to have found that and found it so early in my career. These guys have helped me grow so much, and they've watched me grow from the beginning until now. It's been a really fun experience to work with them.
How did you come along meeting these guys? Was it at these conventions, or did someone connect you through them? Or
actually, I didn't meet any of these writers at the NSAI conventions. Mason does work with NSAI. He does a lot of the song mentoring and critiquing of the songs for NSAI. But I met these writers really by pure chance, because I entered into a competition in Nashville, and I ended up meeting my producer, Jason Wyatt, through that. And when I started working with him and I started talking about the first EP that I wanted to put out, I really wanted to write it myself, and I wanted to find some co-writers that were willing to work with me. So I asked him if he knew of anybody that would be interested and willing to write with a newbie, and he gave me a whole slew of names. And so I reached out to him and I said, hey, would you guys be interested to write with a newbie? I've been working with Jason. And thankfully, they all said yes. And I've been working with them ever since.
And I think that says a lot about your musical ability, because there's a lot of songwriters in Nashville, but there's a lot of aspiring songwriters that honestly these seasoned vets just can't make time for. So kudos to you for being able to hook up with them and create something. And out of that came your first project?
Yeah, my first project was Red Lips, White Lies. And almost all of those co-writers were on this EP. Other than Mason. Mason was the first one to be added for my second EP. I didn't start working with him until I started working with Dee and Jason more. The fun thing about these guys is they'll bring in other writers or they'll ask me, and I'm like, I am all for anybody new that wants to write. It's so much fun to get to know new people.
Did you write in Nashville, or was this a lot of long distance over the phone, over Skype writing?
In the very beginning, I did a lot of my writing in 1 to 2 week long trips in Nashville, where I'd sit down and I'd just write for 2 weeks or a week straight. And the funny thing is, I didn't meet Dee until about a year and a half, 2 years ago. The very first time I wrote with him was over Skype. And it was before I had video portion with a 3-way Skype. So he was just a voice on a computer for me. Mm-hmm. And it was a blast. It was super weird, but it was so much fun to get to write with him. And then later I got to meet him in person, and I got to write with him and Mason as well.
We want to get into Dirt Side. I want to talk about that song a little bit. But let's back up a little bit. Let's go to your title cut, Red Lips, White Lies. Tell me the story about that song.
This is actually kind of a funny story, and it may get me a few dirty looks at our next family gathering. It's about as personal as you can get for a song. I have a twin brother, and I went on a road trip with him from Oregon to Oklahoma. He was heading back to school, and he needed someone to ride with him to share the drive time. It was a 4-day road trip. It was an extremely long road trip. That amount of time with any family member is a lot, and especially a brother. And for some reason, he felt the need to tell me about his dating life and all the crazy shenanigans that he'd been up to. And I was absolutely floored by the end of the 4 days. But thankfully, I'd had the title in my head for quite some time, but I didn't really know what to do with it until the road trip. And he starts telling me about all these crazy girls he's dated and all the things that they do. And so when I left him, I said, thank you. And now I'm going to go write in Nashville.
And you've given me inspiration.
And I went to my co-writers and I said, so I just spent 4 days in a car with my brother. Here's what I have in mind. What do you guys think? And they all looked at me and went, oh gosh, well, we know somebody like that. Let's do it.
Let's not wait any further. We're going to take a break here. But before we do, let's finish out this first segment with Briana Renea. Here's her rendition of Red Lips, White Lies.
Got a dog in her purse. She's got her high heels on. She's got her short skirt and push-up brown golden curls and her Louis Vuitton. You know that pretty smell, brother, it's just her spell. If you decide to cave, then it's gonna be your grave. Witchy white lies. Yeah, I've seen this show, and I can tell you how it's gonna her spell. If you decide to cave, man, it's gonna be your grave. Red lips, they come with a price. Taste good, but oh, they're gonna bite. Finished off with a poison smile. Those witchy red lips always hide those witchy white lies. Take it from a girl who understands a girl. If you wanna stay sane, you better run the other way. Take it from a girl who understands a girl. If you wanna stay sane, you better run the other way. Red lips that come with a price. Taste so good, but they're gonna bite. Red lips, they come with a price. Taste good, but oh, they're gonna bite. Finished off with a poison smile. Those witchy red lips always hide those witchy white lies. Those witchy white lies.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Hi, this is Vinny Rebus, the founder of Indie Connect. Our goal is to ensure that you have the knowledge, the tools, skills, resources, and connections that you need to develop a profitable and long-lasting career in music. One way we do this is through these Business Side of Music podcasts. I'd also like to invite you to check out Indie Connect magazine, our free multimedia online publication packed with practical interviews and advice from music industry experts. Go to www.indieconnectmag. That's www.indieconnectmag.com. Let us walk with you and guide you every step of your musical journey.
You're listening to the business side of music.
This is Bob Bender. You're listening to this edition of the Business Side of Music. In the studio with us in Los Angeles today, Briana Renea. Briana, during the break, we were talking a little bit about, your brother and your travels, and how was it? You got to tell me, how was it learning how to drive a stick shift? Especially, now, is this your older brother or your younger brother?
This is actually my twin brother.
Oh, your twin brother. Oh, that makes it even better. How was it with your brother? Was he teaching you?
Luckily, I actually had the truck here at our place for about a week before my brother was coming home. We had bought the truck here in Oregon, and he was flying in from Oklahoma to drive it back before school started. So my dad actually was the one that got to teach me how to drive the stick, which really was good for me because I would have been even more terrified driving with my brother, since this was his brand new baby truck that he was, I'm sure, terrified I was going to kill, which I did multiple times, even though everyone said, oh, you can't kill a newish Dodge. It's just not possible. And I was like, watch me. And I swear, within about a 15-minute time frame, probably killed it about 3 times.
And yet you drove.
So I was really glad that my dad got to teach me, because I had a little bit of practice before my brother came and we started the road trip.
Oh, just be thankful you weren't driving like in San Francisco where it's all hills.
See, that's where he drove. We went through Arizona, Texas, and California. And the deal was he got to drive through the cities and I got to drive where it was nice and straight, and I didn't have to worry about shifting and possibly killing it in the middle of the freeway or the middle of a busy road.
Let's talk about dirt side. Because there is a certain dirt side about you. We talked about that. You're showing your horses, and I want to get into that in a little bit here. But that song, I think we mentioned it was chosen for the top 12, best of the NSAI Spring Training Award. Tell us how that song came about.
Everybody kind of jokes about having a dark side, and I'll admit I definitely have a dark side. The kinds of TV shows that I watch, they're a little bit more on your darker side of TV, and even my music has a little bit of a dark edge to it if you listen to it, and I think that's probably partially thankful to the 80s rock of my upbringing. But what was hard for me to kind of admit, even though I was a tomboy, was the fact that I do have a dirt side, and I rock it and I love it. But I can get all dressed up and I can get all cleaned up and ready for my performances, and then I'll realize, oh, I haven't fed the animals. So I'll throw something on over my clothes and I'll run outside to go feed, and I'll come back in and I look in the mirror and I go, dang it, I've got dirt on me somewhere, and then I have to clean up. Mm-hmm. My dirt side is a part of me, and it's always going to be, and I embrace it. I love it.
And so when you talk about dirt side, I said dark side. When you talk about dirt side, it really does correlate with your love for the horses. And you were involved in 4-H and FFA, correct? They played a large part in your life?
I was in 4-H from the time I was about 4.5, 5 years old until I was 18 and I graduated high school. I started as a clover bud, so technically they're not true 4-Hers yet, but I got to show my goats when I was 5 years old, and then I graduated to showing cattle and horses later when I started in 4th grade. And it was just a wonderful way to grow up, to be outside, to get to learn the responsibility of taking care of animals, and to have the friendships that I had from fair and all of the kids that I competed with. It was an unbelievable experience that I'm so thankful that I got to have. FFA became a part of my life when I got into high school. It became more of the public speaking, presentations, and even the Parley Pro competitions where you would talk about rules and regulations, as well as learning about the horticulture and other sorts of competitions. The nice thing about FFA was it wasn't just about showing animals. I didn't show my cattle in FFA, but I did do a few of the shows with my horses. And so I like to have both of them because it really gave me a well-rounded education and an upbringing that's not just agricultural based, but also life based.
There's a lot of great country music that comes out of that side. I remember meeting Easton Corbin a few years ago, and he's huge about things like that. He supports the FFA, and so I definitely get it. Let's listen to Dirt Side, and then when we come back, we're going to start talking about your new album.
This is Gary Lux, and you're listening to The Business Side of Music.
But
You're listening to the business side of music.
This is Bob Bender. You're listening to this edition of the business side of music. We're in the studio today in Los Angeles with Briana Renea. We talked about your first album, played a couple cuts off of that. Let's get into your second album, which came out in 2017, titled Chasing Trouble. When you wrote material for your second EP, you shared that you kept the rock edge, but really tried to keep it real and personal.
I did, and for the most part, I actually wrote with the same writers that I wrote with on my first EP. I did add a couple new writers. Mason was actually one of those, and I'm really glad I did because he's a fun one to write with, and he's a great guy to have on your team. He definitely keeps things fun and light and entertaining. There's always going to be a little bit in my music that has that rock feeling because, as you mentioned earlier, I did grow up on 80s rock, and I really loved it. And I loved the dark, rich feeling that the 80s influence brings into my music. And so I embrace it, and I do try to still keep it country, at least with my lyrics. And blending those together, I feel like has been the most fun experience and has really shown who I am as a person. Country is so personal and it tells a story, which is so important to me. I always want to be able to tell a story and reach people in a different way than most music can. And I think that's why I write country, but I also still keep a little bit of my rock in it.
And let's talk about the song Chasing Trouble. You know, it's been given awards. It was placed in the top 40 for the Nashville Songwriters Association in 2016. It was nominated as country, or I should say, you were nominated as a Country Female Artist of the Year, and Chasing Trouble for Country Album of the Year by the International Music and Entertainment Association for 2018.
I'm extremely excited about how this song has been received, and even the album as a whole. It's been so rewarding to be able to see people fall in love with the song as well as the whole album. It's been an absolute blast to perform live. My band and I have a wonderful time on stage with these songs, rocking out. It's really an absolute honor to have my songs nominated for these awards and to be in the top 40 for NSAI. I poured my heart and soul and I put everything I had into this EP, and I tried so hard to make it the best that it could. And I was really selective about the songs that I picked for the EP and why they were on there in the order that they went. So I was really, really happy with how it turned out.
Let's listen to Chasing Trouble here.
Flying straight and narrow, baby. That all ended with that souped-up candy red Camaro. He was 2 years older, Lord, he revved my motor. Riding shotgun with him was sort of like being on a roller coaster. Once you taste it, you can't turn back. You better know I ain't no sweetness, and like I'm not the girl your mama's gonna like. I'm a shot guitars hang out in truck or bar. So if you think that's beneath you, baby, tell me now and I'll send you marching. I don't wear no apron, got no peach pie bacon. That's so 1950s, gets in the way of the hell I'm raising. I can't help it, I get restless. You better know I ain't no sweetness, and like I'm not the girl your mama's gonna like. I'm a shot of whiskey, little rough and tumble. If you're chasing me, know you're chasing trouble.
You want to talk a little bit? You had mentioned in your notes that you had some funny stuff in the song.
Well, Chasing Trouble was kind of one of those fun songs that had a little bit of funny moments, especially when I was writing with my co-writers, because I know Steve pretty well, and Will was the other writer on this, and so Will was getting to know me. But the thing about the song is we've got shot of whiskey in there, peach pie bacon, and I'm not really that much of a drinker, though I do like my whiskey. I am by no means that much of a home eccy person. I can cook, I won't burn water, but I'm by no means great, and I will definitely not try my hand at a pie for any of our family gatherings. I will leave that up to my grandma and my mom. They are wonderful cooks, and they make amazing pies. Maybe one of these days I'll learn from them, but for now, I just sing about not baking peach pies.
Here's a song, There's This Guy. It's a fun summer song, and you got a video out on it, correct?
Yes, I do.
You changed your writing style a little bit with this song?
I did change my style a little bit with this song. I definitely went a little bit more the pop country side compared to most of my normal songs that tend to be on the rock side, which is actually kind of funny because Dee was part of this, right? But we brought Mason in as well, and I think Mason might have lightened me up a little bit, but Dee was the one that had kind of the idea for the song, and it just turned into this really fun, upbeat write. And by the end of it, I was so happy because I just wanted a song for my fans and the girls to listen to, because you know that every summer some girl is going to have a crush on this guy, and they're going to have these cute smiles that they need a song to listen to that's going to brighten their mood. And I really wanted this to be that. I really wanted this song to be light and fun, and I think we did it.
A great summer song. Well, because it's hot here in Southern California, let's listen to There's This Guy.
Sorry if I seem distracted, a little lost with my head in the clouds. I could say I'll be better, but the fact is I don't really want to calm down. You know me, usually my type of personality never lets a duck out of road. Oh, but lately crazy kinda has a hold of me. I want the world to know there's this guy, you know the type that kinda lights it up with just a touch of a smile. A little bit shy, but with a wild side. He only lets it show every once in a while. Let me start from the beginning when my life went spinning and I lost control of my mind. There's this guy. Is it me or is the sun a little brighter? Every bird singing along to my song. Everywhere I look, yeah, there's a reminder that all my good sense is gone. You know me, usually I deny it totally and try to change the subject around. But what he does to me has got me coming clean. I need to get this out. There's this guy, you know the type that kinda lights you up with just a touch of a smile. A little bit shy, but with a wild side. He only lets it show every once in a while. Let me start from the beginning when my life went spinning. I lost control of my mind. There's this guy. There's this guy. My makeup's a little too perfect. My hair took forever to curl it. These heels gone, my tan toes hurting, but it's worth it. He's worth it. There's this guy. Oh, you know the type. There's this guy. There's this guy. You know the type. The kind of lights you up with just a touch of a smile. A little bit shy, but with a wild side. He only lets it show every once in a while. Let me start from the beginning when my life went spinning.
Hi, this is Chris Christensen, one of the founding members of the Academy of Country Music Awards show, and you are listening to The Business Side of Music.
You're listening to the business side of music.
On your album, Chasing Trouble, you had a song. We're going to just touch base on it. It was actually, I got to tell you, I went back and listened to it when I first got your project, Widowmaker. I love that song. It really is one of my favorites, and I think I told Vinny, who's our co-producer on the show, that I enjoyed that song. It's a true story, from what I understand.
So Widowmaker kind of came out of nowhere. I grew up going to rodeos during our county fairs, and so I got to experience a lot of the bull riding, the bronc riding, and the team roping, and all those events. So I really liked it because it was part of my childhood. And I've gotten to play at a few rodeos, and they're a blast to play at because people dance, people cheer, and you get to meet a lot of the cowboys, and they've got some fun stories to tell. And this song was one of those that I got to write with two riders that really didn't know a lot about bull riding. So I got to explain the whole atmosphere of a rodeo to them and the deadliness of bull riding.
You're a big fan of rodeo, aren't you?
I love rodeo, but if I have to pick between showing horses and rodeo, I will definitely pick showing horses every day. It's just in my blood.
But when we talk about Widowmaker, it's not what most people think. This really does correlate a lot with pro rodeo. In fact, it was used, I think we mentioned this in the beginning, it was used in the Northwest Pro Rodeo Association finals in their commercial.
Yes, it was. We actually got to perform there last year, which was a lot of fun. And it was definitely different for us because we've never performed at a big finals event like this before. And so the guys and I got to experience seeing the best of the best and getting to meet them. And it was, all in all, just a really fun event to be a part of. And the cowboys there, boy, they can dance, and they know how to have a good time, even if they are extremely broken and bruised. I think what I really like about rodeo, and especially bull riding, which is why I ended up writing this song, is it's such an intense sport. Bull riding isn't just about how good a rider is. I mean, that's a huge portion of it, but it also is how good and, in a sense, deadly the bull is.
And that, if you go back 20, 30 years ago, Chris Ledoux sang about it. Smoking Armadillos back in the day sang about it. Lane Frost and the legendary bull Red Rock. I mean, they made a movie out of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bull riding is a whole world of its own. And I wanted to write a song that captured what it was like, or at least my take on the world from an outside perspective.
Let's move on to another song off that album, Unstoppable. The story about that song, it actually started about 2 years ago, and you needed a song that had an uplifting, just a positive message for a project, right?
Well, Unstoppable is actually a standalone single right now. I started this song about 2 years ago. I had the idea for the chorus, and I really liked where it was going. But for some reason, I just wasn't feeling it, and I wasn't able to finish it. So it got shelved, and it sat. And then I started talking with the Teens of America Foundation, and I really needed to have a theme song and a message that I stood behind and that I wanted to share with the world. And for me, that became the inspiration and the motivation to finish Unstoppable. I had almost completely forgotten about the song, and when I started working with Teens of America, I ended up going back through all of my old songs, and I found it, and I just looked at it and I said, this is absolutely perfect. This is what I stand for, because I was raised in a way that I was taught you can do anything that you put your mind to, and if you want something, you can make it happen. You just have to work hard and be a force in nature, because those who work hard and those who try And don't be afraid to ask for help, because I was taught to have fire and have passion with everything that I do. And that's what I put into this song. And I believe that Unstoppable carries the message of my life. And I hope that it can inspire and touch other people's lives, especially teens and those that need something to look up to and to embrace as a motto of their own.
And you're working on a video, right? You have a video coming out on this, so you need your fans' help, right? You need them to submit photos and stories?
I am in the process of putting together a music video for this song, and I really do need my fans' help on it, because I'm definitely going out of the box and kind of out of the norm for a music video. I don't want to have the video centered on myself, because that's not what this song's about, at least in my opinion. I want my fans, I want the people's lives that I have touched and been able to get to know, share parts of their life and their inspirational stories with me, so that I have the opportunity to put all of that into a video and share it with the world, because that's what this song is for. It's for the world. It's for an inspiration. It's to make a difference. I really want to capture teens and kids and young adults doing things that are just unstoppable. And that could be someone just giving a speech to their class, or a dance recital, or getting straight A's because they've worked so hard the whole entire year to get their grades up or to keep them up. It's just about people being unstoppable. That's what I want this video to be about.
Well, as we go in to take our break here, let's play the cut Unstoppable here on the business side of music.
I see you, I feel you, I don't judge you. 'Cause it wasn't that long ago when I was you. I walked the halls that you walked down, in a different school, in a different town. I know how it feels to be left out. Funny, but that's how I found myself. Be the one you are, go against the grain, break out of the box they put you in. Let them know you're here, that you're not afraid. Have a little fire, be a force of nature that they have to reckon with. Be the one who is unstoppable. So get up, keep your head up, keep on running. Every day's a chance to press the restart button. I know it feels like no one gets you, but believe me, it gets better. Every day you'll grow a little stronger. Before you know it, your biggest fears are conquered. Be the one you are, go against the grain, break out of the box they put you in. Let them know you're here, that you're not afraid. Have a little fire, be a force of nature
This is Bob Bender. You're listening to this edition of the Business Side of Music. In the studio with us today, Briana Renea. And you have new songs come in the fall?
I do, yeah.
You do touring, and this is one of the questions actually Vinny sent me when we were doing the show prep. How does an indie artist who doesn't have a booking agent, how do you get to play 60 to 75 fair and festival dates every summer? Because that's quite a load.
I would love to be able to play 60 to 75 fairs and festivals, but unfortunately, I don't play strictly fairs and festivals. I do a lot of fairs, festivals, bars, and casinos because here in the Northwest, we don't have enough nice weather to be outside more than end of June all the way through end of August, if you're lucky, the beginning of September. The thing about being an independent artist and booking your own shows is it takes a lot of time and a lot of work. But we have some conventions here for Oregon and Washington. They have both fairs conventions for both of the states and festival conventions as well. And I always go to these. I have for the last few years, and I've gotten to know the entertainment coordinators for the fairs and the festivals. And it's been a long road, but I built relationships with a lot of them. And I spend hours after the conventions doing emails and phone calls and follow-ups trying to book gigs for the whole entire summer.
It's a process is really what it is.
It is. It's a big process. And I've been at it for about 5 years now. And I'm starting to get a reputation where everybody knows my name. And it's starting to get a little bit easier to book gigs and to work with venues. But it's a big process, and it takes time.
It is all about relationship. You got to be able to know who these people are and build relationships with.
I think the first summer that I started out doing this, I'm thinking I maybe did about 8 shows, but that was because I was new, and nobody knew who I was. So it's just taken time and getting to know these fairs and building my reputation and getting recommendations to get to where I'm at, to have the ability to play as many shows as I do.
But once you get into that pipeline, then, as you said, it starts to become a little easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once you get to know them, it just is a matter of maintaining the relationship and helping it grow.
What is the next phase for you as an artist, and how do you plan to get there?
I would say that my next steps would be to finish school. I'm currently at OSU studying marketing and minoring in psychology, and I'd love to get done with that. And then I would really like to start branching out in my territory that I'm performing in. As much as I love Oregon and Washington, I want to expand my region. I want to be able to reach as many people as possible. That is bigger than Oregon and Washington, and I'm excited to start tackling that and growing my fan base.
And it is all about increasing your fan base and getting your music in front of more people.
Yeah, it really is. The more people that know your name and that like your music, the more it's going to spread and the more people are going to talk about you.
So how do people reach you? You've got Facebook, you've got Instagram, you've got Twitter, and you have a website. So how can they go about finding you?
Yeah, you can contact me through any and all of those. My Facebook page is Briana Renea Music, and that's my Instagram as well. My Twitter is just Briana Renea. I have a website. It's brianarenea.com. It does have a contact me page. So if you aren't somebody that likes to do Facebook, you can just send me an email. You can subscribe to an emails list, and I will send out updates. I don't do a ton of updates, but I definitely send out all the fun highlights and the new things that are coming out. But if you do Facebook and Instagram, you can send me a Facebook message or an Instagram message, and I will get back to you.
And I, for one, who have heard a lot about you and have seen the videos of your shows, if you're in the area where Briana is performing, go see her. It is definitely high energy. It's a very energetic show. Briana, thanks for being on.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you're interested in learning more about our show, drop us a line at musicpodcast@mail.com. That's musicpodcast@mail.com. If you have any suggestions of persons or topics that involve some facet of the music industry that you'd like to hear about on our podcast, please feel free to let us know. You can follow us on Facebook on the Business Side of Music podcast page. You can also find us on Twitter at Music Business Podcast. Also, if you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, post a review on what you think of our show. This is Bob Bender, and you've been listening to this edition of The Business Side of Music.
The Business Side of Music is the creation of Tom Sabella and Tracy Snow and is produced by Bob Bender. Co-producer for the show is Vinny Rivas. The Business Side of Music is recorded at Music Dog Studios in Los Angeles, California and Nashville, Tennessee. Production sound designed by Keith Stark. Voiceover and promo by Lisa Fuson.